right now that there is a debate about funding the government. I've been a little bit confused because Republicans, last time I checked, are in control of the House of Representatives.
You ain't
They're
confused.
in control of the Senate, and then the president signs the bill. Okay, but I've heard people suggest that Democrats somehow have the ability to shut the government down. So can you please educate the people on what's happening?
No, you are not confused.
Okay, all right.
You are a
Thank you.
lawmaker. You understand how this works. And, Republicans don't know how to count. But here's the thing. When you're in a legislative body, you control everything. So if the government shuts down, it's on y'all.
So I'm trying to figure out, when did Jasmine Crockett become above criticism? Because everything that Stephen A. Smith said was absolutely correct. He did not say not one lie, and he has every right to question, what has she done and what is she doing? And y'all are in y'all's feelings saying that he hate black women and all this and this and this. I am not a Stephen A. Smith fan, but at the end of the day, he was right in his questioning. She is not above criticism. She can sit here and dish it, but when it's time for her to take it, it's a victim, it's all victim. Because she is absolutely loud and she is wrong on why the government is shut down. And we have every right to call her out on that. She's doing podcast after podcast blaming the Republicans for the government shutdown, when the government is shut down because there is a filibuster on the floor for the current resolution bill, because the Democrats want to add funding for non-American citizens using American tax dollars. They want to continue to send money to foreign countries, and we don't know what this money is really going for. And they want to add all this stuff back in, and the Republicans are like, no. And the order for the filibuster to stop, there needs to be 60 votes in the Senate. There's only 53 Republican representatives, which means we need 7 Democrats to say, yes, let's go forward with this. So this has absolutely nothing to do with the Republicans. This is 100% the Democrats as to why the government is shut down.
Boy. So, gotta continue our coverage of the civil war between Stephen A. and the black liberals, okay, who are upset that Stephen A. criticized the Democrat Party, okay? They're claiming that they're upset that Stephen A. criticized a quote-unquote black woman, right? However, had Stephen A. criticized a conservative black woman, they wouldn't care, right? They wouldn't give a damn, okay? If Stephen A. said something about Candace Owens, they wouldn't care, right? Unless he agreed with Candace Owens. If he agreed with Candace on something, they would be crying, right? But because Stephen A. had criticisms of Jasmine Crockett, okay, who happens to be a Democrat, and she happens to be a black woman, now the black bourgeoisie, they've come out here in full force trying to cancel Stephen A., right? They want to boycott Stephen A.
Stephen A. Smith said that Jasmine Crockett isn't doing her job, that instead of going against Trump, she should understand that he's a man in power and she should figure out a way to work with him. Stephen A. said that he doesn't like Jasmine because she sounds too street, yet he spends most of his time screaming at the top of his lungs, sounding like the world's silliest house slave. He says that her verbiage is inappropriate, yet our president says that he likes to grab women by the How appropriate is that, Stephen? Maybe Jasmine would earn the respect of Stephen A. if she sounded more like Candace Owens. Remember, Jasmine is a criminal and civil rights attorney. And Candace spends most of her time on HBCU campuses pushing Turning Point USA agenda. Now, if you remember, Turning Point USA was founded by Charlie Kirk, who said that the civil rights movement was a mistake. This is why nobody gives a about respectability politics, because as a black woman, no matter how educated you are, there will always be somebody there to disrespect you and discredit you. And it's unfortunate that it will always be a man that looks just like you. Stephen also said that D.L. Hughley is more of an activist than he is a comedian. But when you see the agenda that's being pushed on black Americans, when you understand that black Americans, especially black women, are being targeted because of the 350-something odd thousand women that have lost their jobs, you do need to be more of an activist than anything else, because somebody has to step up and say something. And Stephen, you could be doing something with your platform other than performing and bootlicking for daddy. But we understand that you need to keep your job. Stephen, you need to do just like your hairline and fall the on back. Black women have lost their jobs. People can't feed their families. Children are getting shot up in schools, and black men are being hung on trees. And the only thing Stephen is worried about is how somebody sounds. One of the few people, mind you, one of the few people that are actually fighting for us. So T. Daddy Trump, please drop off some D at Stephen's door. He's been begging for it.
I think when you start messing around with Jasmine Crockett, that's a whole different area for us. It touches a different nerve. Yeah. One, because obviously she is a black woman, but you're dealing with someone who is being attacked every which way we turn, right? Like, you got Donald Trump calling her low IQ, regularly on his social media posts. You have Laura Loomer calling her every kind of bitch, basically ghetto. You know, I mean, she said so many things that I was like, wow, this is actually fighting words here. Like when I hear Stephen A. Smith saying it's not all in a day's work and you're not being effective if you spend your day dealing with insults. Well, we as Black people are being insulted from the time we wake up in the morning until the time we go to bed at night, every single day. And the insults are not just words, it's actually backed up by actions of to me, a very evil administration. So we appreciate the work that Jasmine Crockett is doing. And, you know, then he goes on to say, aren't you supposed to be delivering things for your constituents? Well, I think we need to challenge that, because in many ways, he's aligning himself with this idea that Black women are not productive, that we're not smart, that we're not getting things done. And the reason why I said maybe y'all need to have a campaign to turn them off is because there's 20 pages of Black men saying what the hell is wrong with Stephen A. Smith. Y'all are pushing back on him. Instead of us arguing and making posts, you can just tell people, if you're not feeling it, turn it off.
But Stephen A. Smith represents himself as being able to talk both to white conservatives and to Black men. And so having both and being sort of like, he's like, I can talk to both. It's sort of the Chris Cuomo brand, but Black. If he is allowed to continue to say he has that brand by having Black men listen to him, he's basically pimping us to get himself rich while giving nothing back to Black people. And the last thing I'll add is, this is the reason you have people on the right saying he should run for president, because they think he's equally influential with Black and white people. And as long as they think, well, he's got Black men and white men on lock, they're going to keep saying stupid things like a man who doesn't understand that a woman who's in the minority party in the House can't move legislation because they don't control the floor. Dude, you want to be president and you don't understand who makes legislation and how? You don't understand that one congresswoman out of 435 members can't, quote unquote, be legislating. Legislate with who? The Republicans who don't listen to them, won't even talk to them, lock them out of rooms. And what are you doing bipartisan with them? Do fascism together? You want them to get together and fund ICE together, fund Israel together, fund genocide together? What is it that you want her to cooperate with? He needs to explain a little more before he gets credibility.
He says work with Trump. And I want to know, are you saying work with him to send troops into our communities, to militarize our neighborhoods?
Yeah, that's exactly what Stephen A. is saying, right? Jasmine Crockett should be working with the president to get things accomplished for her people. Yes, that is the exact criticism that Stephen A. has, okay? And one thing I can say, Stephen A. has impressed me so far in the sense that he is standing 10 toes down, right? He is not folding and groveling to the mob like he usually does, right? Usually when Stephen A. gets backlash from the Black bourgeoisie, right? When they disinvite him from the cookout, right? They take his black card. Usually he grovels, right? But this time around, I haven't seen Stephen A. groveling too much, right? Stephen A. seems to be holding his own, right? He's pushing back against the woke mob.
What Bakari Sellers needs to recognize is, why don't you tell what the truth is? Why don't you speak about the level of resentment that you really, really have? That the American people are more willing to listen to somebody like me or the others that you mentioned rather than you, who's been doing this for years, out of South Carolina and then some. Nobody care what you have to say. I'm giving you pub right now by talking about you. Sit your ass down.
I wanted to spend a minute in response to the comments made by Stephen A. Smith on his podcast yesterday. Usually I ascribe to the notion that you don't roll around with pigs because you both get muddy and the pig likes it, or you never argue with fools because people who are watching can't tell the difference. But I thought it was necessary just for me to respond and be extremely clear about my issue. And Stephen, is this. I utilize words like charlatan because you use your platform, one that you've grown with great success, a very large platform that people listen to. But you use your platform to tear down the people who are actually in our communities doing the work. That is a great responsibility that you have. And so what you hear in my voice, and I want to be extremely clear, what you hear in my voice is not resentment, my guy. I don't resent you at all. In fact, I pray for your success. But what you hear in my voice is disappointment. It's disappointment because we have a level of expectation for you. We in our community have a level of expectation for you, and what you hear in my voice and many others is disappointment. See, I know the shoulders on which you stand. I know Big House Gaines, basketball coach at Winston-Salem State University. I know Stuart Scott. I know Dave Roberts, who helped create your platform at First Take, who used to come over to our house in the 1980s before I was born and eat spaghetti dinner when he was just starting out in Greensboro, North Carolina. I know you stand on the shoulders of strong black men, and you are disappointing us every time you continue to chop down those people who are doing that real work. And so, yeah, I think it's necessary that we call that out. I think it's necessary we have that level of accountability, especially right now while you're appreciating the gaze of those individuals in the White House, the gaze of people like Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, but yet and still you're quiet as a church mouse pissing on cotton when Donald Trump is out here trying to take away our voting rights, when he's putting police and National Guard in our American cities, taking black and brown people out of their homes. Yeah, you're quiet on those things that matter. And when people like Jasmine Crockett or Kamala Harris or even Bakari Sellers speak up and speak out, you rather tear us down than actually talk about the issues that are directly affecting our people. So yeah, I'm not resenting you. I'm more prayerful than you ever would imagine.
Yeah, so let me put that in plain English for you guys so you understand, right, what Bakari Sellers is saying. He's saying as a black person, as a black man with a platform, you have an expectation to shield for the Democrat Party, right? You got to till the Democrat plantation, okay? If you're not tilling the Democrat plantation, then you're selling us out, right? You're selling out black people, okay? You are disappointing the black men whose shoulders that you stood on, right, in order to get into your position, right? That is what Bakari Sellers is saying, okay? If you're not tilling the Democrat Party, you're not allowed to have your own opinion, right? If you're black, right, you're not allowed to. You have to have an opinion that aligns with the Democrats, okay? You have to have an opinion where you have to be supportive of things that aren't necessarily great for black folks. Like, for example, you got to support abortion. You got to support illegal immigration. You got to support being soft on crime, right? You got to support all these things that are detrimental towards black folks, unless you're not really black, right? Unless you're selling out to the white man, okay? That is essentially the argument from Bakari Sellers. Now, here's what I want to tell you guys, right? And why I'm doing this video. I've heard a lot of personal insults at Stephen A, right? And I don't think that Stephen A is above criticism, just like I don't think that Jasmine Crockett is above criticism. But Stephen A's criticisms of Jasmine Crockett were substantive, right? In the sense that he criticized her for being divisive, loud, unprofessional, and ineffective, right? And all of these individuals are so pissed off about what Stephen A said, primarily because it's true. And you know it's true because none of these individuals, in their responses to Stephen A, are explaining or articulating exactly what is it that Jasmine Crockett is doing, right? What is she doing that makes her so effective, right? Well, how is Jasmine Crockett so effective for her constituents, right? What is she actually doing for her constituents since Stephen A is so wrong? What has she actually gotten accomplished? I have not heard that yet. I have not heard any of these individuals articulate what exactly has Jasmine Crockett done for her constituents, okay, that makes Stephen A's criticisms wrong, right? So let's listen to Roland Martin jump in Stephen A's ass, right, over his criticisms of Jasmine Crockett. Let's see if this panel comes up with anything that Jasmine Crockett has done, right, that would make Stephen A's criticisms be wrong.
So, it's very interesting to me, Ome Congo, when you have sports commentators who veer into politics, who want to chastise Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett as saying somehow she is being too loud, abrasive, and ineffective, when clearly that was not the case. She laid out a very cogent argument there. I guess that's the difference between those of us who actually follow her work as opposed to those who just run their mouths about her work.
Yeah, and Stephen A. Smith has been running his mouth a lot, as he's always running his mouth, and he just has a particular disdain, it seems, for black women and black women who are doing powerful things. And Stephen A. Smith doesn't really even appear in black spaces like that to be able to even have a comment. He needs to leave her alone. He's spending all of this time talking about, you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds her. You don't want to upset the boss. Trump is not her boss. Her boss is her constituents, and she's out there every single day fighting for them. And I just heard a story over this weekend about how she had to get fitted for a bulletproof vest because of what she's dealing with. And people like Stephen A. Smith of the world are making it worse for her. So I continue to applaud what she's doing. I continue to applaud the way she just shows up and does her job. And she's got to deal with it from the Stephen A. Smiths to the Laura Loomers of the world. But luckily, she knows that you and us and everybody in our sphere have her back. But she shouldn't have to be out there being targeted like this. But when you're fighting for the people, when you're fighting for the truth, you are going to get haters like that. And I'm hoping that Stephen A. Smith has gotten enough blowback that he will leave her alone. But I know she's probably unfazed by it, but enough of us are pissed off about it. But she needs to keep doing her thing. We have her back. And yeah, she's like, yo, I'm even out here agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene because Jasmine Crockett is about the work of the people. And it doesn't matter who is on a different side of the party or political spectrum. If they're about the people, she's going to be there, unlike Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, but again, that all sounds great. But did anybody pick up on anything that Jasmine Crockett has done? Right? These people can't name one thing. Give me one substantive thing that Jasmine Crockett has actually accomplished. Right? Give me something. Okay, outside of raising money, right? We know she's raised a lot of money for herself, right? She's probably shared some of that money with some of her constituents. I don't know, but outside of that, right? Outside of that, what has she accomplished? I haven't heard anything, right? I've heard a lot of Stephen A. is wrong, that Stephen A. is selling out black people, right? That he shouldn't criticize a black woman. Jasmine Crockett's so great, she's amazing, but I have not heard any specifics, right? In regards to what makes her so amazing, right? What has she actually done? Let's see if we get anything here. Let's see if we get anything.
The thing that also is crazy here to me, Renita, is if you don't actually know, this is what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't even understand what the hell a member of Congress does. People don't even know what the hell a state rep does or a state senator. They don't really know what a council member does. And I say this all the time. And so this notion that you got 435 members of the House, 100 in the United States Senate, but there are so many different things that a member of Congress works on. Not only constituent services, okay, their job is to serve their constituencies, but also they have committee assignments. And so that's the unsexy stuff. That's the stuff nobody wants to talk about. Now, we show a lot of her comments in hearings, also a Congresswoman Summer Lee, a Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. But unless you are a C-SPAN, nut, you don't see this stuff. So
yeah, so why don't you inform us, right? Inform us. Tell us what Jasmine Crockett has done. Tell us what Ayanna Pressley has done, right? Tell us what all of these amazing black women have done for black folks, right? Again, notice how there's a whole lot of generics, but there's no specifics. If Jasmine Crockett is so accomplished, if she's so great at what she does, tell us what she's done. I still haven't heard anything yet. It's been 3 minutes, right? And I haven't heard one substantive, specific thing that Jasmine Crockett has done or accomplished.
I heard this. It was just, to me, it was just a silly commentary from Stephen A. So I'm like, dude, you just don't even know what the hell member of Congress does.
Okay, so tell us what Jasmine Crockett has done. Okay, since she's done so much, notice how they can't tell us anything specific. You know, an easy response to Stephen A. would be a 3-minute video, right? Just 3 minutes. Here are all the things that Jasmine Crockett has done for her constituents in Congress, right? This is what she's gotten accomplished. They can't do that. You're not saying that because it doesn't exist. She hasn't done a damn thing. Stephen A. is 100% right.
Right. No, you could not be more right, Roland. People would call my office all the time asking me to handle things that are on the city level. People really do not understand what their representatives do. And so for him to be this loud and wrong is just amazing. But we already know this. Stephen A. Smith is somebody who wakes up every day and tries to figure out how to be the good black, as white supremacists would say about black folks who would make sure to shout down other black folks who were poo-pooing white supremacy. This is not the first time that he has done this. And he really doesn't know what he's talking about, because from that clip, and I didn't see that entire meeting, and this is kind of getting into the weeds, but from that clip, the way that it's shot, it looks like she is actually testifying before some sort of committee meeting. So she's actually doing extra work by what she's doing. And I say that because usually when someone is testifying before a committee or testifying in a meeting that they are not a part of that committee, or they are not a part of the leadership of the committee, or formally called to be at a committee. They sit behind a desk like what she was seated behind, and there are two other people next to you with the little placard cards right in front. And so she's actually doing extra work, and Stephen is making, comments about how she needs to not be as loud. It is her business as a representative to get involved and speak up about anything that is going to affect her constituents. And the really good reps, and I did this all the time, the really good reps will speak about things that not only affect their constituents, but also the entire nation, the entire state, the things that affect everybody. So people should just disregard what Stephen is talking about. I think this is just a continuation of him tossing around, thinking about running for president, trying to, make nice with people who will never support him.
Wow. So the best that we got in 5 minutes, right, of these people telling us Stephen A. is wrong, Jasmine Crockett is amazing, she's done so much for her constituents, for black people, right? The best we got is Jasmine Crockett did some hearing, right? That's the best that we got. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I gave these people 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes to tell me something that Jasmine Crockett has done or accomplished for her constituents that would prove Stephen A. wrong. All we got was, well, see, she testified in some hearing. She talked about something, right? Yeah, we know she talks a lot, but outside of talking, what has she done? Crickets. Nothing, right? Absolutely nothing. And that's what makes these people so silly, right? You can't criticize Jasmine Crockett, but at the same time, these people can't tell us what has she done that's so great. But you can't criticize her for not doing anything, right? For not getting anything done. Yes, Jasmine Crockett, in the ideal world, should be working with the Trump administration to crack down on crime in her district, right? She should be working with the Trump administration to get rid of illegal immigrants out of her district, right? She should be working with the Trump administration on a lot of things. And the fact that she's not doing it, yes, that is grounds to criticize her because that's what she should be doing. But she's not. She's just playing her role as a Democrat Party cheerleader, as a loudmouth, as a minstrel show, right? Doing a little tap dance, like the ghetto black woman tap dance for the white little woman, right? Who runs the Democrat Party, right? She's playing her part. She's raising some money, and she's giving that money to other Democrats who need it in their races, and that's it. That's what she's doing. And if you think that's being effective, then fine. But I'm not sure exactly what she's doing for her constituents. Even when Democrats were in charge, even when they were in power, Jasmine Crockett was in Congress, and what did she do? Nothing, right? She didn't accomplish a damn thing. So, Stephen A., in my opinion, he's right. Until Jasmine Crockett can prove him wrong, and until Jasmine Crockett supporters can come up with some, again, specific things that Jasmine Crockett has accomplished, hey, Stephen A's right. She hasn't done a damn thing. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.